What's happening? It's your boy Mo Johnson, and this is Man Cave Analytics Podcast, Episode 1. And on this episode, we'll be breaking down the NFC South as part 1 of my 4-part NFL Power Ranking special. So thanks for checking in. And if you like what you hear or the content that I provide, don't forget to click that like and the subscribe button. Man Cave out. You are now listening to Man Cave Analytics, where the fans are the analysts and the professionals don't know shit. What's happening? It's your boy Mo Johnson, and this is episode 1 of the NFC South Division Power Ranking, where I'll be giving my opinion on teams in the division ranked 1 through 4. But before we do that, I'm going to let y'all know a little bit about the Man Cave. This is a podcast where we'll be giving our opinions on sports, trending topics, culture, and life. I say we because the co-host is on the way. But for this episode, I thought I'd give y'all some content to get to know your boy and let me know your opinions and things you'd like for us to add to the show. So with that being said, let's go ahead and break down this football, man. We're going to go ahead and break down this football, man. We're doing a division by division breakdown of my own personal power rankings. These are my opinions, but they're based on stats, game tape, things that I've seen from last season, also from free agency moves, coaching moves, and things that each team by team basis, what teams have done to make themselves better or make themselves worse. So we're going to start off in the NFC South with the Atlanta Falcons. That's the number one team for the NFC South division that I think is probably going to win the division this year. Their strengths is the young athletic defense, top 5 wide receivers, good veteran QB. They got, to me, in my opinion, one of the best wide receiver groups in the league as far as explosion, route running, yards after catch. They also, like I said, good passer. I like Matt Ryan. I'm a fan of Matt Ryan. I think he's a good quarterback. He don't, get some of the recognition that he deserves sometimes, especially in here in Atlanta. They can be hard on the boy, but it is what it is. But last year they were 8th in passing, so it wasn't a major drop off from what they had with Kyle Shanahan. But I think just from looking at game film, just looking at the stats, the explosive plays kind of weren't there. Steve Sarkisian is the offensive coordinator. Had a rough go of it the first year, in my opinion. Like I said, the offense lacked a little bit of explosion. I don't like the run plays that he calls. But again, it was his first year, so he got to get acclimated with the players. And I think, he's a professional, so you got to give him a chance to mesh with him. But this is going to be the telling year what they do offensively as a team. Defensively, there's a top 10 in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? They got a pass rush. They can stop the run. They got linebackers that can run. They have a formidable secondary, guys that can bump, jam, run with the quarterback. They can play off man. They got a tone setter back there with Keanu Neal. But let me just do a deep dive on the Falcons, man, if I could for a minute, just from what I've seen, not just going off of what they've done and what they did last year. The Falcons, in my opinion, man, they're going to have to learn to win big games. I think too many times, especially me being here in Atlanta, and even though the Falcons are the home team and I root for them to do good, my team is the Giants. Let me just go ahead and put that out there now, so people won't be like, "Oh, you a homer." because that's not the case. This is not my team. I just root for them, because I want them to do good. It's a home team. But to me, sometimes, man, it just feels like, and maybe it's just me, in my opinion, it's my show, so I guess that counts for something, right? But it's just big game after game, they just let you down. I don't know if it's lack of leadership. I don't know if it's a schematics thing. I don't know if it's coaching. But until they learn to win under pressure in the clutch, I just feel like you can take them seriously, but they're not going to be, in that top tier level of the NFC teams. And you see every year that comes out, you see the way they're stacked, the way they're built. They have a formidable roster. They're from top to bottom. I mean, seriously, with the young guys that they got, all these cats are still on their rookie contracts. Some of them ain't even in their prime yet. But when the power rankings come out, the big ones, the NFL, ESPN, NFL Network, all these power rankings, they always kind of, towards the middle of the pack. And that's because I don't think overall the country respects the Falcons, especially after what happened in the Super Bowl. That was big. that was big. To have a team just stomped and just let them back in the game, like I've never in my 36 years watching football. Well, I take that back. I wasn't watching football when I was a baby, but I would say in my 20-something years of watching football, I've never seen that. Never have I seen a team choke like that. And it came down to coaching. A lot of decisions that were made that shouldn't have been made. So you can hold it to the players only so much. There were some pivotal things that were done from a coaching perspective that lost them that game. But again, I digress. That was in the past. We're trying to move forward. But they're going to have to learn how to win. And the leaders, whoever they may be, are going to have to step up. As you see with some of these other teams that I'm going to break down, there are schematic things, there are personnel things, there are things that they're lacking. Maybe they don't have it yet, they haven't drafted it, haven't acquired it in free agency. There's pieces that are not there that's going to keep them from being able to compete for a Super Bowl. With the Falcons, I don't see that. They have everything they need. It's just they're going to have to get over the hump. Now, Steve Sarkisian, I'm not going to lie, I'm really not high on this guy. I think he's just kind of, part of that little USC coaching tree and coaches under Pete Carroll and, coach under some guys with notoriety, so he kind of gets a pass, and teams just like to fuck with him, man, because they think he, is ahead of the curve, and I don't see it. He runs some kind of funky little West Coast timing-based passing offense that I just does not think fits Julio, does not fit the Mohamed Sanu, and even this new cat that they got coming in that we'll talk about in a second. So time will tell, but right now I'm not high on him. Like I said before, I don't like the run plays he calls. I feel like they have a real good running game, even though they don't have as much push as they should have up the middle of the offensive line, but they have a decent run game. Even if they were to go to a zone blocking scheme versus a power run game a power run scheme, I don't feel like they got enough out of the run game. Even though Devontae Freeman had good stats last year, good yards, that run game was not dominant, and I felt like they leaned on Matt Ryan a little bit too much in that passing game to accent the run game, and it just didn't work. Especially with, Julio not being as explosive as he normally is in prior seasons. So, what did they do in the draft? They got Calvin Ridley in the first round. It's a good pick. I think he'll be a decent slot receiver. They got Isaiah Oliver, cornerback, which I think was a big deal. I kind of wanted him for the Giants, I'm not going to lie. Cornerback out of Colorado, I think. Good man press, physical corner, kind of long rangey. Kind of that Richard Sherman mold, can turn around and run with guys, but has the length to be able to, the length and the speed to be able to catch up and be disruptive at the point of attack when the ball is thrown, to go up and make a play on the ball, to bat the ball down. He has real good technique, good hips. Dedrin Sanat, defensive tackle, that's pretty much a depth move. I've looked at a little YouTube highlights of him. Seems like his technique is kind of raw, but he does have good get off, good motor. Ito Smith, running back. I think that's kind of I'm gonna be honest, man. I think Coleman probably gonna be gone after this year, and I think that's why they got him for depth, and to go ahead and get him in there so he can take Coleman's place because they just gave Freeman that money. I really highly doubt if they're gonna pay Coleman and Freeman to run that rock next year. So I think they got Edo Smith, man, to kind of have him in the wings. He has a unique skill set though, and I think he could be a good running back. So now let's move to the New Orleans Saints. I got them second in the division next year. I think they can still go to the playoffs. Real good team. Real good team. They have their strengths are they have a dynamic run game, seasoned prolific passer, aggressive head coach, a nice mix of veteran and youth infused talent. They have a very confident secondary, and far as matchup personnel on offense, their weapons besides Kamara and Ingram aren't great. The average person doesn't even know some of their wide receivers' names, but they're real good at what they do. They do their job, and they all have a unique skill set, whether they're a possession wide receiver, they're a vertical guy, or they're the guys who are going to go out and get the tough yards or get yards after the catch. Plus, pairing that with Alvin Kamara coming out the backfield or him being on the field, you got to compensate for him and know where he's at all times. So the offense is really off the chain, Last year they were fifth in passing, which is kind of good, in the middle of the pack pretty much as far as top 10 goes. The weaknesses is the defense to me. Even though their secondary is real good, they had the defensive player of the year, the young rookie cornerback. They need to get more athletic in the middle of their defense, as far as linebackers being able to cover the weak inside linebacker in the 3-4 and the main middle linebacker, inside linebacker in the 3-4. They're not able to check top tier tight ends and run and chase and come downhill and make athletic plays because the guys are just middle of the road. They were good at what they do, and they're kind of lunch pail guys, but they need some get more athletic in the middle of their defense, in my opinion. Secondly, they need a pass rush. Last year they kind of were real good at getting push up the middle, and then they had Cameron Jordan coming off the edge out of the 5 technique defensive end for them in the 3-4 last year. He had good stats. He was disruptive, and they got enough push to where they were disruptive, but the sack numbers really didn't show that. They went out and got this kid Davenport, rookie, traded up to get him, so we're going to see what that does. But they also last year, I think that people kind of slept on them a little bit. They lost a 3 technique and a nose guard in the middle of the season. So that kind of hurt them a little bit as far as being able to get that push that they were getting at the beginning of the season when the defense was kind of clicking. So paired with the guys that they got coming back that got hurt last year, Davenport, Cameron Jordan, I think the pass rush will get significantly better. Will it be gangbusters? Probably not, but just adequate. Also, I think that they need an athletic tight end, which they went out and got Benjamin Watson. I could be wrong. I don't have an assistant, so I don't have anybody to fact check on the fly. But we're gonna get that. Don't worry. But that's pretty much it as far as their weaknesses goes, man. The one thing about the Saints that I like, even though I didn't put them number 1 over the Falcons, is they have a coach and a quarterback that's been doing it for a while. They know what they need to do for them to win, and they know their identity. Run the ball, pass through the seams with Drew Brees, because he's a seam killer. He will kill you up the seams, and just get good complementary yards and match up. And whatever dynamic playmaker that you have, use him to set up your offense and set the table for your offense. And they've been doing that for years. A lot of times, though, they weren't able to put the run game together. They didn't have a good line, or the defense was trash. So they weren't able to get everything going. But we've seen when you give them an opportunistic defense, they don't have to be a top 10 defense. They just need a defense that can get stopped from time to time. Okay? But when you give Drew Brees that and a decent run game, he can get you to the playoffs. And with Sean Payton's aggressive head coaching style, you don't know what you're going to get from him in the playoffs. He might come out and onside kick you. You know what I'm saying? He might come out 5 wide. You just don't know because he's an aggressive head coach. So, again, they know what their identity is, what they're trying to do, what they want to establish throughout the season. It'll just be telling if they'll overtake the Falcons, which again, these are just power rankings. This is all hypothetical. I don't know. These are the teams I'm picking. But it'll be interesting to see how that race kind of falls towards the end of the season. Will the Falcons be way ahead of them? Will they be ahead of the Falcons? Will they be neck to neck? Because when you really look at it, personnel-wise, the Falcons are a little bit better in some spots. But from an offensive perspective and the way that they can win in so many different ways, meaning the Saints, it's kind of hard to say, who's 1A, who's 1B. But I'm going to go with the Falcons. But the Saints are a real good team to watch. Let's go over the draft picks real quick. Of course, they got round 1, they got Marcus Davenport, defensive end. In the 3rd round, they got Traquan Smith, wide receiver, speed guy. Round 4, they got Rich Leonard, who's a tackle. So that's a depth move. So now that we already talked about the Saints, let's go into these Panthers, man. Carolina Panthers. This is going to be interesting. Let me just say this. The NFC South, man, even though I'm an NFC East guy and the Super Bowl champions come out the NFC East, this South is really stacked. When you really look at it, I know you can say, oh, Tampa Bay's trash, Carolina, they up and down. But when you look at the way these teams are built, they're built to give other teams in other divisions problems when you really look at it. And if Tampa Bay can get themselves together, man, just from a defensive standpoint, but we'll get on that in a minute, and Jameis Winston cannot just keep throwing the picks, they can be a formidable team as well. Carolina, they've done a lot of things on defense, done a lot of things on offense, and Cam Newton's always going to be a freak of nature, and if he can stay consistent, he's already been the NFL MVP once. The sky's the limit with this guy. There's just things that he needs to work on. But, just sorry for going on a tangent, but when you really look at this division, though, there's really not what we would call bum team. It's just things that they need to do to put them at another level. So that's why I really think that, the NFC South this year, I think I'm going to go out, on a limb to say that if my Giants don't win the Super Bowl, somebody from the South might be hoisting this Lombardi, man. This South, this division is just a bloodbath, just having to play each other, and then teams having to come and play them, or them going to, other teams' stadium and playing. Like, all these teams are good, in my opinion, with the way they're built. They're missing certain things to kind of put them to a point where they can start winning games consistently. But there's really no slouch. You can come in their stadium, or they can come to you and blow you out. Either one of these teams, in my opinion, from the Bucks to the Panthers to the Saints to the Falcons. It just depends on any given Sunday. Just leave it at that. So let's go over, the strengths of the Carolina Panthers. We got a dynamic playmaker at QB with Cam Newton, tough veteran defense, all-pro front seven. We got a strong run game, strong run defense. The weaknesses is the offensive line, inconsistent play on the outside of wide receiver. The defense is aging in some spots. Let me say that. Even though they have a tough veteran defense, a couple guys over there getting a little long in the tooth, if you know what I mean. But they're still formidable, still good players. And also inconsistent play from the secondary. Really haven't seen guys step up. The starting corner on the strong side had a good year last year. Decent year last year. He really wasn't getting rolled on that much. He was competitive. It didn't show in the stats as far as picks and passes deflected. But he was targeted a lot. He was picked on a lot, and he stood up to the challenge. So, he had a good season. But their secondary is just, it's not the same. I mean, and people try to act like, Josh wasn't the guy, but now we see. That's why he's getting $100 million or whatever exorbitant contract he's getting in Washington, because he was the man. And they made their defense so much better. But, that's neither here nor there. I digress. So, last year they were 19th in total offense, 7th in total defense, and I think they were like number 4 against the run in the NFC. So that's pretty good. The draft picks, round 1, DJ Moore, wide receiver. Round 2, Dante Jackson at cornerback. Round 3, Rashawn Golden. Round 4, Ian Thomas at tight end. And Marquise Haynes at defensive end. Now let's let's kind of unpack this for a second, because out of all these teams in this division, they had the most free agent signings, and they also had some very, very, very intriguing picks in the draft. Let's go over the first one, which is DJ Moore. I watched DJ Moore play 3 times this year, and I think he is pretty much if you want to say a clone of somebody, he is Steve Smith. He's a Steve Smith clone. He is tough over the middle, yards after catch. When he gets the ball in his hands, he turns into a running back. But he also has strong hands. His route running needs to be worked on as far as the intermediate routes. But as far as short routes, slants, comebacks, outs, real crisp, quick feet, gets in and out of his breaks. He knows how to set guys up. The tell will be because he's not really, really tall, like what Cam Newton used to throwing to, with guys like Calvin Benjamin and Greg Olsen and stuff. You know, they drafted real tall wide receivers because the ball tends to fly on Cam Newton. This guy's kind of a tweener. I think he's listed at 6'1", which I don't think he's that tall. I think he's like 6 foot. So it's going to be telling if Cam can get him the ball and, keep that ball lowered to where it won't be flying on him. But if he can get the ball in this kid's hands, watch out. I don't think this boy is going to be scared at all. I think he's going to be ready to play. This is a really good pick. Really good pick. The second one I want to talk about was Dante Jackson. I didn't see him play, but I watched his game tape online. This kid is not scared. He goes out. He's real aggressive. The one weakness about him, though, he can be beat on double moves because he is so aggressive. But when that ball's thrown, he's gonna go out and go get the ball. Period. When that quarterback puts his foot, when the quarterback puts his foot in the ground, and when he's keying and reading on him, he's going. And he was picked on a lot last year, man. But he stood up to the challenge, man. He has real good hands and good ball hawking skills when the ball is thrown deep. I want to say he had like 5 interceptions. 3 last year and 6 overall. 6 interceptions overall for his career in college. Now let's go to the free agent acquisitions. They went out and got Jeremiah Surlis, guard. They got Ross Cockrell at cornerback, which he's probably going to play the nickel. They traded for Darrell Worley at cornerback from the Eagles. They traded Darrell Worley from the Panthers and got back Torrey Smith. Who else did they sign? They signed Jerry Wright, slot receiver. That's a good pick. Julius Peppers got signed. Graham Gano got signed. And so they had a lot of moves in free agency. A lot of moves. But the one thing, going with my little deep dive here about the Panthers for a second time, it's a little raw right now, man. But like I said, we in our embassy, man. So y'all just ride with me. It's gonna get better, trust me. It's going to be very interesting because Norv Turner is the offensive coordinator now for the Carolina Panthers. Norv Turner runs a power-based offense, but it's kind of inverted because he does have some West Coast principles. But his offensive scheme is kind of based on mismatches. It's based on movement. He does a lot of motioning, but he builds his offense off the running game. But there's times where Norv will spread you out. There's times when Norv's going to ask you to anticipate. He's going to ask you to throw on timing. As you've seen with some of the places that he's coached at, from Phillip Rivers to the little chandelier cat that played for the Vikings with them long sleeves. I can't remember his name, but he get hurt all the time. But with that being said, man, is Cam Newton's footwork going to put him in a position to be able to really truly run this offense and get the best out of this offense and propel this offense into the top 10? Because, at the end of the day, offensively, man, it begins and it starts with him. They can have a good running game and dynamic wide receiver, but if he's not playing well, that team is they're not going to go nowhere. Let's just be honest. And I mean, that's for any NFL team, but especially them, because he does so much. But the main thing about Cam Newton, in my opinion, has always been his footwork. People talk about, he throws the ball, he throws bullets over the middle, and he throws a good deep ball. Yeah, his intermediate game is decent at times. His deep ball is immaculate, but it's the out routes, it's the comeback routes, it's the routes when he's throwing on the run, the ball always tends to fly on him. And that's because he never sets his feet. His footwork has been shoddy at best. But he's always got by because he's such a great athlete. So it's going to be telling this season is North Turner going to really put an emphasis on, hey, Cam, I need you to do this. Work on your feet, dog. If you can't work on your feet, man, you can't run this offense. We can sit up here and run this Wildcat shit and give you the ball and let you barrel over guys, but how long that's going to last? You know what I mean? How long you going to keep running the ball and running these little quarterback draws and these built-in quarterback run plays? That shit's okay, and it's cute from time to time, but you can't really sustain an offense like that. The great quarterbacks, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Peyton Manning. Well, not Peyton Manning ain't playing no more, but you know, those kind of guys, they win from the pocket. So he's going to have to learn to start resetting his feet and getting his feet up under him and deliver the ball. Get the ball to your playmakers, because I just showed you, you know, on the breakdown of the draft picks, the playmakers are here. They got them. You know, you put this guy with this DJ Moore, with Greg Olsen, with the kid that they got from Stanford, that running back next year coming out the backfield. Then they got the other wide receiver. What is his name? God damn it. I'm sorry. This is unprofessional right now, but y'all got to ride with me. The other tall wide receiver that played for Carolina Panthers. They have the weapons. They got weapons to put up points in bunches. But at the end of the day, if he can't get the ball to the quarterback, man, it's going to be telling. It's going to be real telling. So, you know, hey, I doubt if you're listening, but hey, get them feet right, Cam. Get them right, man, because I'm a fan, baby. I love you. All right. Last team in the NFC South, we got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Their strengths: they have a top 10 wide receiver, solid offensive line, dynamic young playmakers on both sides of the ball, and of course, Pro Bowl defensive tackle. The weaknesses is inconsistent play at QB, turnovers, lack of a run game, can't stop the run or the pass on defense, no pass rush whatsoever. And I think they had 22 sacks last year, which puts them at 32nd in total defense. And that's a damn shame. That is a damn shame. So, I'm just going to do a simple breakdown because I talked about them, you know, kind of aligning with the Panthers, man, because like I said, this team can be decent. They can be decent. I would probably give them, in a good year, if they, you know, Jameis Winston does the right things, I would give them 9 wins, maybe 10. But so much would have to, you know, of course, happen for them to get to that, you know, and that does not just fall on his shoulders alone. Of course, the defense has to stop some goddamn body. I mean, my God. But with me, man, it's all about Jameis. I think he wants to be great. I had him on Instagram. I used to follow him, man, and you would always see the workout videos in the off season. He'd be working with coaches, working on his feet, working on his strength. He kept his weight down, stayed out of trouble. So the kid wants to be great. It's there. But it's that kind of that goofy, I call it goofy gunslinger, which he's not scared to throw the ball, but he always throwing it to the wrong goddamn man. That's a goofy gunslinger. Let's go ahead and remember that, because we're going to use that a lot this season when it comes to the football, you know, talk or whatever. But, you know, I feel the sky's the limit for this kid, but he has to learn when to tell himself no. And I know that's hard for somebody that's a gunslinger and somebody that just puts it all on the line of, you know, and it's just super competitive. But until he learns how to do that, he's going to continue to hold this team back from an offensive standpoint. Now, of course, he can't go out on defense and sack nobody, stop the run, get interceptions. He can't do that. This defense is dog shit. So, you know, he can't stop people. But he can do his part by putting points up on the board so they can play from behind maybe. Maybe they'll be a better team if they're playing from behind. But I've literally watched games last year because I watched them on Hard Knocks, and I thought they were going to have a good year, especially when they went out and got Deshaun Jackson and they got OJ from Alabama. I'm like, okay, damn, they got some serious weapons right now. And I'm watching them play, and they would be doing good and moving the ball, and it would probably be like 2nd and 7 or 2nd and 5 or something, and then he would throw some shit over the middle, and it just get picked. And it's like, who the hell was you throwing to? There would be nobody in the vicinity, and it wasn't like the ball got tipped or no shit like that. He just threw the damn ball to somebody else, and I watched him do that. He would play good in spurts. So when he gets to the point, man, where he can start playing better for the course of the game and kind of minimize the mistakes. It's okay to overthrow somebody from time to time, or throw some shit in the dirt, or throw it out of bounds. Do what you gotta do, man. Just protect the ball. And I don't think that head coach is emphasizing that. He's fussing at him and reacting once he does something. But there's no way in hell that you're teaching him to minimize the mistakes when he's just going out and just throwing damn picks. I mean, just blatant ass picks. It's not like he's giving the wide receiver a chance and, you know, the guy don't catch the ball and he goes to the other guy. No, he's literally hitting guys in the chest from the other team. That means he's not reading. There's no timing to it. He's just throwing the shit to the wrong person. But before that play happened, he'll have 5 or 6 throws. He's like, God damn, this boy out here balling. So, again, you gotta, get that down, man. But I still like Jameis Winston, man. I think he's a good up-and-coming quarterback, and he could be great. And he wants to be great. So, this is his 4th year now. We're going to see what he's coming with. Their draft picks. Let's go over that, man. Because his defense is just, oh, my goodness. I still want to give them praise because I feel like they got a decent team if they just come together. They got some of the personnel to get some stuff done. They got my boy JBP for the Giants. I kind of hated that, man, but we moving to a 3-4, so we really can't do nothing with him. So I'm guessing now he'll help out on the run at least. You know what I'm saying? If he don't get a lot of sacks, at least they're not going to run to his side because he's still is formidable when it comes to stopping the run. But anyway, draft picks, round 1, Vita Vea, defensive tackle. You got Ronald Jones, running back. I really like this kid out of USC, man. He's pretty much an all dual threat running back, run, catch out the backfield. He looks like he's undersized and looks like a scat back, but he runs like he's 6'3". He's really tough. MJ Stewart, cornerback. Carlton Davis, cornerback out of Auburn. This kid right here is a gamer. I would put him in that. He reminds me of Honey Badger. Not as much with the notoriety. He didn't have a lot of notoriety, big following. But if you look at his game tape from Auburn, he was always around the ball. He doesn't mind putting his nose into the backfield. He will cut a running back down and go out there and make a play. He is very good as a boundary cornerback. I wouldn't put him man-to-man with elite wide receivers because he's not really fast. But in the boundary standpoint and playing off man, he's great because he anticipates the ball. He can key the quarterback. He has good feet. And he catches the ball. And he would jump on a pick if you put it around him. So that's a real good pick. I think they got him in the 2nd round. Yeah. So he's going to make the team. And I can see him playing nickel or even playing some safety. Round 3, they got Alex Copper, offensive lineman. I think this a Big Ten offensive lineman. I think he's going to be pretty good too, man. Kind of a phone booth guy. Plays guard. And the last one, round 4, they got Jordan Whitehead for safety. So, we got the Falcons at number 1. Saints at number 2. Carolina Panthers, number 3. And Tampa Bay at number 4. All right. Next one is AFC South.